When you do something online, make sure you won't regret it. Protect yourself before it happens.
When you post something online, it is there forever. That's a long time. Even if you delete something, it is still there, somewhere.
If you post something embarrassing, it could affect your life and your job. Also, don't trust everyone you meet online. It could be a 40-year-old saying that they're 15.
Make sure not to share your personal information like your name. That could possibly put you and your family in danger. Remember, once you hit send, there is no going back.
Be safe. A message from Girl Scout Troop 90073, Brunswick, Ohio.
Welcome to this month's Salute to Service, and with me today I have Mr. Robert Alsaugh. How are you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Good to have you here. And you are from Hinckley, Ohio?
That's right.
A native of Medina County, or?
No, I'm an immigrant from New Jersey.
All right, there you go. So World War II veteran.
That's right.
And let's go back a bit and talk about when you were growing up before you joined the service. High school?
High school, I played all sports in high school.
In New Jersey?
In New Jersey, Long Valley, New Jersey, 50 miles from New York.
And how long from the time you got out of high school to the time you joined the service?
As soon as I got out of high school, as soon as I graduated, I signed before.
Signed before?
Yeah, and then when I graduated, I went.
What year was that?
44.
So World War II's in full swing pretty much. So.
Yeah.
So what made you choose the branch you chose, or did they choose it for you back then? How'd the whole process work?
Well, I don't know. I think I was just, you get a little input, get a little input from the people that you talk to.
Right.
But nobody really knows, because we were in the midst of a depression when I signed up and whatnot, and everything was hard times. Nobody had to have penny candies and everything else.
Right.
Maybe you don't want me to talk about that.
No, that's good. No.
Is that fine? And I just got in the Navy, and I was so blessed that I got in there.
So when you joined the Navy, you joined in Jersey. Where'd you go to boot camp or whatever?
Oh, Sampson, New York.
How was that? Pretty tough, or?
No, that wasn't bad.
No?
I was being the short guy, I was a platoon guide.
Okay.
To hold the big guys from making little guys run in the end of the line there.
Oh, okay.
And that was good, and I was.
So when you got out of basic, and I mean, what happened? Did you get assigned to a ship, or where?
No, when I went down we went down to New York City to take our physical at the Grand Central Palace, which was an old abandoned hotel. And I was fortunate enough to sign up for the PT boats. They gave us a physical and checked us and did this and did that, and that's how I got into PT boats.
Now, did you have any boating background before that?
No.
They took you right into the PT boats.
Yeah.
Did you know what you were did you know what a PT boat was?
Not really.
No?
No.
So what made you choose PT boats? You remember?
Well, I just thought it was a little more personal.
Yeah.
But what do you know when you're 17 and a half or whatever I was? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was 18
Right.
then.
So after you signed up for the PT boats, where'd they send you?
Well, after I got done with boot camp, 10 weeks and 5 days in Sampson, New York, then we went up to we had a 1 week leave. That's the only leave I got when I was in the service.
Oh, wow.
And then we went up to Melville, Rhode Island, right in the wintertime. And we took our training off of Narragansett Bay. And it was so cold your eyelids would freeze together.
I can imagine. I know it's cold up there.
Oh, it's cold up there. But it was a great training thing, and they taught us how we had to strip down 50 caliber guns blindfold, and it was really a good training.
So the PT boats were over in the Pacific. Right?
Yes, that's right.
So how did you get to the Pacific? Did you take a boat around, or did you take a train over to?
We went up to, when we graduated from our training school, we went up to Boston, and then we took the train, excuse me for laughing,
That's right.
Because it was a smoky job all the way out through there.
Okay.
And then we went on Treasure Island, and they call it the bullpen. That's where they put us in there. And then we took a ship out to...
out to the West Coast?
Yeah.
So you sailed?
No. We took a train out to the West Coast,
okay.
and then we took a ship from San Francisco Bay on across. And the thing that, during that trip, it was a very uncomfortable trip. We never sat down to eat or anything. And when we come into Pearl Harbor, all the battleships are upside down.
What date was that? Do you remember? I mean, month, year?
Let me see here. That would be, I would guess around Christmas time.
44?
44, 45.
Yeah.
45, I would say. It would be 45 when all these battleships are upside down.
Still sitting, that's 5 years.
That's
5
right,
years,
they're
yeah.
still sitting there.
Wow.
And we had read about the fact that the guys were trapped underneath there.
Right.
And they were sending the Morse code back and forth, and they were trying to burn the hulls of the ship so they could get air into these guys.
Right.
And
Wow.
I can still see that. And it made a great impression on me, and I felt so sympathetic to that.
So how long were you in Pearl Harbor for?
Not long.
No.
Food and fuel, 10 hours.
And then they shipped you out to,
The-
where'd you go over in the Pacific?
Let me see. I think it was in the Philippines. I think it was Morotai.
So what was going on in the Philippines at that time? I mean,
Well, I'm not an authority on what was
Oh, I
going
know.
on, but the MacArthur had come through, and it kept the Japanese all in separate islands. And our job was to keep them on islands. Keep them there. We knew where they were.
Right.
And just keep them on there. And they had these barges they were trying to go and get. They were starving them out, trying to get
Supplies and stuff.
natives and whatnot, and we protected them and kept them from reinforcing anybody else. And
so what was the mission of the PT boat over there?
well, we supported invasions because we didn't draw that much water, and the mines were set too deep for us, so we could go right over the top.
You go right into like
Yeah,
the
and
ports
we had
stuff.
so much firepower. We had a 37, a 20 millimeter, a pair of twin 50s, and a 40 millimeter on the ship. So we were really a gunboat.
You had a couple of torpedoes on the side
Oh, I
too,
had
didn't you?
two on each side.
Two on each side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it's cool. Oh, we were talking earlier about McHale's Navy, so
Yeah.
that's my age. That's a PT boat. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah.
So, I mean, I got to ask because I would imagine being on a boat like that is much different than being on a ship in the Navy.
Oh gosh, yes.
So when you got out, did you ever do boating again, or did you own a boat or anything like that?
No, funny you should ask that. I thought about that, and I said I should get a boat. And I talked to my doctor, and he says, well, Bob, he says, that's good in one way, but he says, when you bring it home, you got to wash it off and do this and do that. And I didn't think of it
Yeah.
with that in mind, and it's a good thing I did.
a lot of work.
Yeah.
So how long were you in the service?
About 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
And so I imagine about a year and a half of that was over there on the PT boats then.
Right.
Any big invasions or anything that stands out in your mind that, you know what I mean?
No, the only thing that stands out in mind, the brass come down, they wanted some prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
So we had oak boat hooks, and an oak, it's about 10 foot long, and it's got a big hook on the end of it.
Okay.
And the Japanese, sometimes when they didn't want to be prisoners, and we hooked them in, sometimes they didn't want to be hooked, so we bang them over the head, and brought them up, and they were kind of bloody, but they'd have these grenades and bring them aboard.
Ooh, and to pull them.
Yeah, and that would be a problem.
It's a wooden boat, I would imagine.
Yeah, it would be gone.
Yeah.
It would be gone. So we banged them a little bit so they were
So they couldn't do that.
unconscious. And then the brass come down the next day. They said they want live prisoners, not dead prisoners. So they didn't ask us to do that. They got another boat,
So when you knew you were coming back, I mean, were you over there till the war ended, or?
Yes.
Okay.
What we did is, in those days, you got so many points for being overseas, and so many points for your age and whatnot. And being a young guy, 18 or 19,
Right.
You didn't have that much points.
You didn't get no points. Yeah.
No, so you were sitting there, and we took our squadron and took the boats out in Samar Bay, or Subic Bay. It might have been Subic Bay. I got to go back 70 years, so I could be a little wrong on that. And stripped them down, done everything, and then they set them on fire. And I'm glad I wasn't there.
And that's that was when the war was over.
That was when the war was over, because there was Japanese on an island maybe 3 or 4 miles away. And when we heard of the armistice, we shot our guns up in the air, and Japanese theirs were going that way, and ours was going this way.
They're shooting back at you.
Yeah,
Nobody told them.
Nobody told them that. Yeah.
So you came back on another boat, and they just left the boats there. They just scuttled them and burned them. Huh?
Burned them up. Yeah. And then what I did was I got on an AK, which was an attack cargo, and I went up to different islands and into Japan.
You spend any time in Japan?
Oh, maybe 6 weeks or so.
And how was that? I mean, at the end of the war, I imagine that was kind of...
Yeah, that was quite an experience, being a young guy.
Right.
And we went into Kyushu, and then we went into Yokohama and Tokyo.
It was all occupied by us by that time, wasn't it?
Yes, but they were really, in Nagasaki, when they dropped the atom bomb, it was nothing but...
Did you get down into there?
Oh, yeah, it was terrible. You had to be careful.
Yeah.
You wonder how much was toxic, how much wasn't toxic, and
It makes you
whatnot.
wonder.
Yeah.
So when you finally get to come home, what's going through your mind?
Well, I was very proud and very lucky to get the service that I did. And so when I come back, we went from San Francisco all the way across to Long Island. That's where I got discharged from. And then I come home, and
They shipped you back to New York.
huh?
They shipped you back to New York.
No, they took us on the train back there. Well, the worst train ride in the world.
Bunch of guys, probably a
whole bunch of guys, yeah.
Pack you in there,
Yeah, I laughed, and I was on the Lasouth after when they broke down our squadron. Then they put me on the cargo ship, and that was good, because I says when you're a gunner's mate striker on a PT boat, that's all you do is clean guns.
Right.
And I says and I had visual communications. I got a rate in signalman, 3rd class, so I was up on the bridge.
So when you'd go out on the patrols, I mean, I think it was a couple boats at a time, probably 2 or 3 boats.
Usually one boat, maybe 2. And the patrol ahead of us, say the day before he went out, and he says, "Yeah, we got there's one shore batteries over there," so we'd go in there, going as fast as we could go and shoot the heck out of everything. And then by the time, of course, the Japanese had moved their batteries from
Somewhere else.
north to south or something like that. And they'd take us, and usually there would be a salvo would bracket our boat. Can you imagine
They
that?
shoot one on one side,
Yeah,
one on the other.
yeah.
Trying to get you in the center.
Yeah, well, they were just trying. They must have had a couple batteries,
Yeah.
but they were close, and because we were moving, we were going. We had full bore going as fast as we could go.
So looking back at it, I mean, what's going through your mind when you're a young 18, 19-year-old kid and you're going out on that boat?
I never thought anything of it.
Really?
Yeah, I never thought anything of it. I didn't. They want the young guys because we don't know fear. And I
Right.
was raised with guns in New Jersey because we were hunters. We hunted whatever we shot, we ate. That was the way I was raised, and that was fine. And I don't think I ever felt, I'm not brave, don't misunderstand me.
I know.
I just didn't feel any fear.
Yeah. Kind of like dumb fear for a young kid. You don't realize
you
what's...
don't realize that,
I can understand.
We had
I remember that.
3 Purple Hearts on our ship.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys took some heavy fire.
Yeah,
apparently.
we didn't get hit because with that, as we called it, airplane gas in those days. If you took it with that, why, you wouldn't have been nothing. It was a boom.
We were talking earlier, the boats were all wood, so it would go up rather quickly.
Yeah, that
so.
would go.
So when you came home, what did you get out of the service?
Right.
What did you go back to?
I went back to my hometown, and my father always wanted me to learn a trade, so I became a apprentice plumber, and we took night school under the GI Bill, and then 5 years later I opened my own business and was in business for 50 years.
So when did you move from Jersey to Medina?
14 years ago. My wife got cancer, esophageal cancer. And my daughter lived out here, so she said,
So that's when you came here.
Yeah, I lost my wife, but I sold my business to my son. And
In New Jersey?
Yeah.
Plumbing business?
yeah.
So do you think the 2 years in the military transferred over a little bit into your business? Did it give you anything to stand on or make you the man yard today?
Well, disciplined me that you have to do things in a certain order. You know, the gun has to be clean, that this has to be cleaned and everything else. So you have to do the right thing at the right time. That was and our family was strong for that.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you belong to any veterans organization?
I belong to I lost my cousin when I was in boot camp, and he's in the Chester, New Jersey post, Bernays Apgar post, and he was killed in the Battle of the Bulge. And that's the one I belong to.
Is it a VFW or American
No, it's
Legion?
American Legion.
American Legion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the family was very close in those days. Because nobody had any money,
Yeah,
nobody
big
had
families,
telephones, no radios or anything else. So it was a great time to grow up. I think I grew up at the best possible time. I really do.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I'm so people. I tell people your age this, and I told my son that. My son will be 64. My daughter will be 60, and we worked hard. And I'd done business with a shake of a hand, and that was great. It was so great. I was so blessed to be able to serve my country, and so blessed to be able to have my own business for 50 years. I feel I've had more hits than misses.
That's good.
And I'm so proud I was in the service. You know, I really am.
So do you like Medina County?
Yes, I do. I'm over in Hinckley. I think I may be the last buzzard over there. But
No, there's a lot of buzzards over there.
and it's a great place.
Well, we like to say here in Medina County it's a great place to be a veteran. Have you ever been out to some of the parades and stuff that we do here?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They do a nice job in all the communities, I think, for Memorial Day and stuff.
And people, if I'm out, I wear this hat with pride.
You should.
Yes. And people thank me for my service. And I appreciate that. I'm not doing that for that, but I'm just so proud that I was lucky enough and able to serve my country. Because being here isn't just a privilege, it's something that you have to appreciate. And if something goes wrong, why we have to honor our country and fight to preserve that.
So after the war and after you got out of the service, did you stay in contact with any of your buddies or anything in the service?
Well, not too well. Unfortunately, the fellows that went in ahead of me in our town were older than me. In fact, I'll tell you a little story. My parents wanted to know when I was going to get in. Well, things are so uncertain in the service that I wouldn't tell them. I come in across on the train. I had more smoke inside than there was outside moving through the things. Lido Beach. And then I come into Marshtown, which was about 18 miles away. And then I hitchhiked home. Well, all the other guys that were older than me, had been in and were out, and they sat there on the corner. And before I could get home, says, "Come on, Bob." They took me up, and I said hello to my mother and father, and we went up to a local tavern and kind of celebrated that.
Yeah.
I can see that yet. And of course, a lot of those fellows are gone.
Anybody from the Navy you still stay in contact with or used to from your boat?
No, nobody in the boat.
Yeah.
No, because we were all diffused.
Now, how many guys are on the on
13
PT?
men and 2 officers.
So you got like a skipper and
A skipper and a what's this, executive officer.
executive officer?
And then we had motor mechs, guys down in there, because we had Packard V16 engines running on 100 octane gas.
So you had a couple guys running the engines?
Yeah, and a couple guys, and other guys were, everybody was there was torpedo men. I was on a 20 millimeter. There was guys up into on the twin 50s. Yeah, I was just thinking once, we got into a tight spot, and this fellow's name was Hank Morgan. And he was firing. He didn't have a liner in his helmet, and his helmet was revolving just like
Just spinning around. He just had steel pot on.
Yeah, just that spinning right around just like that.
That's funny.
That was funny. And then, of course, everybody had to kid him about that, you know.
So where you were at, how many boats were there?
I would say there was 12. We were in Squadron 25, and there was 12 or 14 boats.
12 or 14.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we're all like a great fraternity. Yeah. We borrowed a washing machine from the Seabees, And you couldn't, there was no wash, you had to beat everything and
Right.
scrub everything, so everybody washed their blankets. That was a great day.
Oh, yeah, it's a good clean blanket.
Then we passed the washing machine down to the next boat, and of course the guys would come looking for the washing machine, and nobody knew
where it was. But everybody had clean blankets.
Yeah, that was a great thing.
That's good.
Because we didn't sleep on the boats, we slept up in tents.
So you had tents or huts or something like
No,
that?
tents, yeah.
Tents.
Yeah.
You remember which island you were on?
I was on Morotai.
Morotai.
Yep, and Cebu.
So you guys moved around a little bit.
We moved around. They moved as the thing went. We went up as support forces,
Right.
because we'd go in when they were going to make a push on some place like that and shoot the heck out of it. Because when we patrolled maybe 50 yards away from the beach.
Mm-hmm. So you brought this picture of a PT boat with you today, and you want to explain a little bit about it?
Yes. Admiral Bulkley was being honored in Stevensburg because that was about 7 miles from where I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a warrior. He acted just like Patton was portrayed in the thing. And he had the, and when I indicated to him that I was in PT boats because he took off MacArthur and his family off of Corregidor in the early stages of the war when it wasn't going right for us.
Right.
And I was so impressed with this man. When I looked at that Congressional Medal of Honor, I've never seen one before or after. How many people have seen them?
Yeah, not too many.
And he patted me on, when I said I was in PT boats, he patted me on the back of my hand, and the hair on my neck went up, and it was one of the high moments of my life.
And that's a picture of his ship right there.
That's just the picture that they had when they were honoring him in his town.
Very nice.
And he was a man that you would be, if you had a war, you'd want him.
You'd want him by your side.
That's it,
There
exactly. And I was so blessed to have meet that man.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
So, and we had also, you'd gotten some medals recently from one of the medal ceremonies here in Medina?
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show, and I gotta ask you. I ask everybody that comes on the show, if you had it to do all over again, would you do it the same way?
Definitely.
You enjoyed it, huh?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I was so proud that I was able to do it.
Well, I thank you for your service.
Well, thank you.
And I want to thank you for coming on Salute to Service.
Well, thank you.
We'll see you next month.
When emergencies threaten, you want to know immediately. In the city of Brunswick, residents receive alerts from Code Red. The Code Red service works with a database of phone numbers of Brunswick residents. Depending on the size and scope of the emergency, Code Red alerts either all of the city or just the part that is affected.
This is a Code Red message from the city of Brunswick.
As a city resident, you also have the opportunity to add warnings about severe weather, such as tornadoes, thunderstorms, or flash floods. If you want to be sure that you are registered, or if you want to add or change your notifications or phone number, we encourage you to visit the Code Red website. You'll find a link to Code Red on the city's website, www.brunswick.oh.us. Just click on the button for complete information and options.
Hey Brunswick, get ready to party! Yes, Brunswick, it's time for bands. fights, and booms. At the Brunswick Summer Celebration. It's rides and games on the Midway. It's contests. It's all the foods you know you want. Plus bands and more bands. Fireworks. Ending in the big annual parade. Look for the summer celebration on the Brunswick High School campus. To get a schedule of events, a parade entry form, or more information, visit summer-celebration.com.